This morning on Money Watch, should you walk away from your mortgage even if you can afford to pay it? Here with some advice is Jill Schlesinger. She is editor-at-large for CBSMoneyWatch.com. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning.
This is a decision a lot of people are having to make because we're not seeing foreclosures improve much, are we?
No, in fact, we saw a tiny bit of improvement from December to January. But if we look at January versus last January, 15% more of foreclosures across the country, 31% repossessions. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of houses, has led to 4 million people being in the pipeline for foreclosure. This is creating a pretty startling trend. There are people who are walking away. We call them strategic foreclosures. They can afford it, but they're saying, I can't, I don't want to do it anymore. The hole is too deep. And they're just walking away.
Is that a good idea for some people? Is there a magic formula to help you figure that out?
Well, I spoke to some estate attorneys, I spoke to some bankruptcy attorneys who say that if you're more than 20% underwater, which means, let's say you had a house that's worth, say, $200,000 and you owe $240,000, $250,000 on your mortgage, you may be better off walking away because you'll take so long to get to sort of that break-even point. You could be spending the money better during those years. It's a very difficult decision. You should consult an attorney, but it is very common now as people are saying, I can rent cheaper. And that's the difference. If I'm paying $3,000 to service my mortgage every month, but I could pay $1,200 a month renting, maybe I'm better off renting. I'll lose my deposit. It wouldn't be such a horrible thing.
That's important for people to know that they will have to rent because they won't be able to buy if they just walk away from their mortgage, at least not immediately, right?
Well, here's the downside. You will wreck your credit for 7 years. 7 long years. If you need a mortgage, if you need to go buy a car, forget it. So walking away takes on a whole different level of responsibility. Maybe good for you in the short term, your cash flow, your month-to-month expenses better, but you will have zero access to credit for 7 full years.
Which is temporary. And this is not something that's illegal. It's temporary credit affected for 7 years.
Exactly. I mean, this is a contract. You're breaking a contract, right? You signed a contract to have a company lend you money, but contracts are broken all the time. I think people are very frustrated with the mortgage modification process. They feel like they must make a decision that's in the best interest of their families. Maybe they made a rotten decision 3 years ago and bought at the top with not enough money down. But today, you have a whole new chance to make a different set of decisions. That's very important. Look ahead.
Okay, so what if people, after seeing this segment, do the math, figure out I'm 20% underwater or more? What's the first thing you would tell them to do?
I would say the first thing is to go talk to an attorney, because an attorney is going to guide you through the process. You're going to have to contact your mortgage company, but I think you have to understand what's the upside and the downside of doing this. For many people, this is the most prudent thing. I was a financial planner for many years. There are times where I've seen cases where it is actually better to do this or to go into bankruptcy to give yourself a better future. For others, the price is too steep. Staying in may be better. But it's a critical point, and a strategic foreclosure may be in your best interest, so at least consider it.
Do you see this trend rising or declining in this year?
Well, I'll tell you the truth. There are 4.5 million folks that have mortgages that are underwater. I think this is going to increase in frequency, and I think that you're going to have to see a real change in the jobs market or the mortgage modification process before we see a different trend emerge. But this is a pretty serious one, big decisions, but maybe the better one for you to make.
Yeah, at least there's a solution, though not an easy one.
Exactly.
All right, Jill, thanks so much.